Hello everyone and welcome back to the Cyclocross Social podcast. Today we have a special episode ahead of the World Championships this weekend in Hogerheide. After many requests, I have finally found some time to bring back the rider interviews, and today we will be speaking with two riders of the Tormans Cross team ahead of the World Championships. In the first part of this podcast you will hear from Mari Schreiber, and in the second part from Kevin Kuhn. With me here now is the brand new champion of Luxembourg in the Women Elite category, having a great season, Mari Schreiber. Thank you for being here with me today, Mari.
Thank you for having me.
Fresh of a good performance in Besançon, are you already fully recovered or still a bit tired?
To be honest, I can still feel my legs a bit when I go up the stairs. But yeah, it was a hard race on Sunday, so it takes some time to recover. But yeah, I'm in a good way, so it's all good.
We'll start off with some short snap questions, and some have to do with cycling and others don't. The first one doesn't. What Netflix show do you recommend to all our listeners? What is a must-watch show in your opinion?
Well, it's a long one, but I really enjoyed The Blacklist. I have a lot of series that I watch and that I enjoy, so there's no like real favorite.
Do you then maybe have a real favorite music artist?
Again, that's really hard. I am a bit into like UK drill and all that kind of stuff. But I also listen to everything. So again, there's no real favorite.
And then this weekend, the World Championships. What is your go-to meal before such an important race?
Pancakes. I always go with pancakes before the race.
And then when you're racing, what weather do you hope for? Do you hope that it's pouring it down with rain, or do you hope for a bit of sun and some nice warm temperatures?
Well, I prefer if the weather's good, but if like the ground is a bit muddy, so the ground can be wet, but during the race I prefer if it's dry.
And then the final snap question we have is, out of all the courses you've done, or maybe not have done, but have seen, what is your favorite one?
Again, really hard to pick a favorite one because I like so many different courses. But the one from last Sunday or the one in Czech Republic are ones I really love.
Yeah, so Besançon or Tabor, both nice courses. Let's go back a couple of years, rewind the clock a bit to your junior years. You were able to race the first ever Junior Women World Championship in Dubendorf. Can you tell us a bit about how special that was, your first World Championship?
Yeah, it was quite special also because it was like my first real main event, like Worlds or something like that. So for me as a first year junior from a small country like Luxembourg, going into that was really special. And it was not too far away from home, so I had quite a few people, like family and stuff there. And I didn't really do a lot of international races that season, so for me it was also a bit of a test on how well I am compared to the others. Also because we didn't have many junior races back then. And yeah, I finished in the top 10, which was a bit of a surprise for me, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I think it was a nice experience to get the whole cyclocross thing started.
And then the season after that got completely wiped out for juniors due to COVID. We already noticed you in the beginning of the season already as a second year junior, almost ending in the top 10 of the Super Prestige in Ruddervoorde. Then the only Junior Women World Cup that there was in Tabor, you ended on the podium. How did you deal with that? I mean, you train for a season and then it just completely falls away.
Well, the season started great, I'd say, because in the beginning we didn't know about like races being cancelled. So I just prepared as always, and it was my first real season like in the Belgian races with the big girls. So yeah, for me it was like a big step and a nice experience to do the first races, and I just wanted to do well. And yeah, I just went into every race like trying to do the best, and then it came like the whole COVID thing, and yeah, like races being counted, it felt a bit unfair because the big girls were able to race, but we had to stay home. But yeah, like I remember doing the World Cup in Tabo, and it was like a really big thing for me, ending on the podium and everything. And I was just so hyped about the whole season. And then, like from one week to the other, everything like got taken away from us. I remember preparing with my former teammate Zoe, in Belgium for 2 weeks, like preparing the Worlds, and we were both in a really good shape going into it. And I remember we were at her place, and then in the morning we woke up to the news Worlds being cancelled. And yeah, it was like a really hard time actually, because you train for something and okay, I'm in a good shape and I can do well. and then because of something that's not in your hands, it gets taken away. So that was a bit shit. But yeah, I just tried to make the best out of it, like every other girl in our age.
Yeah, that must have been difficult, but despite that, and I mean, there were not many junior women races back then, still there's a lack of them, but it's growing. Do you think that you have still benefited a bit from having some sort of junior woman scene set up compared to the riders who didn't have that?
It was nice that we actually got a few races just for the juniors. Like now they have so many World Cups, and I think it's great that it's progressing and everything. But also I think I benefited a lot from like being shown into the like big field straight away, because if you learn more when you compete against them. So I think it was actually a good mix of having a bit of both. Yeah, and I think it was great for my progression and everything.
Yeah, I guess it's a bit of both worlds, but it must be nice that if you race a junior woman race, you can compete for the victory, and that's, or at least the podium, and that's a completely different mindset than if you're racing to hang on.
It's always a different mindset going into the race, because in the first years, as when I was junior, and you race with the big girls, you're like gridded fifth, sixth row or something like that. And when you go into a race with a smaller field where you're like one of the best 10, then it's a completely different race from the start on. And it's even now, I mean, with next week with the World, it's going to be a bit of a different race than normally on the World Cups. And I quite like the challenge that you don't have to look out for other girls, but just the ones for your like your age. And it's always a bit of a bit of a challenge. But yeah, I quite like it, and I'm happy that we still get the races in just our category.
At that point, when you were a junior, what was your big goal to achieve in cycling?
To be fair, I just wanted to enjoy what I was doing. I mean, riding my bike, I've been always been riding my bike, and for me, it was about the fun part. And I didn't get to do many road races, so that was a bit not disappointing, but like I wanted to do more, but I just couldn't, because with the national team, we were not enough riders. And then again, when I was junior, there was not many races, and then with COVID again, so it was a bit of a hard time. But yeah, I think I just wanted to do well and to enjoy it, and see where it takes me.
Was there any rider that you looked up to that inspired you?
Well, I always liked watching Mathieu and Wout. And then on the women's side, I just, people like Vos, or even in the Corso. I was a big fan of Ferrand Prévot as well. I remember the first time, like actually lining up with some of the girls that you watch on TV was like a big moment for me, even now. The other day, I think it was in Zonhoven, I got to speak to Marianne Vos on the start line. It absolutely made my day, because you always watch those people on the TV and you see how strong they are. And as a young girl, you want to be like them. And then actually lining up next to them is like a really nice feeling. And you feel like, okay, I've made it.
So then, after the junior years, came 2 under 23 years. Last year, after the World Championships, you already got a couple of top tens, but would you consider this season your real breakthrough season, or would you already say that was last season with those top 10?
Well, I think this season was like more the racial one, because last season, I was still in school and I was struggling a bit with training, getting everything like sorted and dialed up. And I had like races where I did really well, and then more like stressful weeks where I did less well and I wasn't happy with my performance. But I knew, okay, I just had to push through that one, and then this season I could fully concentrate on the racing, and that this season will be better. But yeah, still it was a lot better than I expected, because I didn't have like the best preparation going into it. But yeah, I managed to do quite well from the start on, and I think it gave me like a boost in confidence and everything. And then yeah, training's been going well, and I've been really enjoying it the whole winter. So I think that was key. That was key as well.
You got a bunch of World Cup top 10s, even a top 5 in Dublin. You also raced non World Cup races. Out of all of them, what would you say was your best performance this season?
Probably the World Cup in Bergen was one of my best races. And I also had a couple of races where like result-wise, I wasn't the best, but like for my own feeling and performance, I felt really well. But yeah, for me, like the World Cup in Bergen was after the Europeans, if I remember correctly, and I had a bit of an easy week. And I really thought like going into the race, oh, today's not going to be great. And as the like race went on, I just felt better and better, and it was a fast course, and I was alone all the time, and I managed to overtake so many riders, and I was like really in my vibe basically. And that was one race I really enjoyed. But yeah, I've had a couple of races where I felt like I did really well. Also on Sunday, because if you have a good feeling and you don't do mistakes, then you just enjoy it. And if you have a good day, then it feels nice. But sometimes I had like races where I just didn't enjoy it as much because I made mistakes or I didn't feel 100% great. So that was a bit harder. But yeah, all in all, I think I had a good season and some really good races.
Yeah, you got a podium in Belgium in Loenhout. How was that? Because the crowds there were massive, and that must have been the first time that you had an experience of the so-called Flemish cyclocross party atmosphere.
Yeah, that was actually great. I remember it was the last race of my Christmas period. I didn't do many races there, but the two races on Monday and Wednesday in that week didn't go well. And I remember after Diegem, I was doubting if I should even start in Loenhout because yeah, I just felt a bit tired and everything. And then I had an easy day the day before, and I was still a bit scared going into the race actually. And then it turned out really well. And after two laps, I was like really feeling it again because there was so many people and I liked the conditions and I had a good feeling and I enjoyed it so much. And yeah, the two races before I didn't really enjoy it, and I was like, okay, I missed the feeling of suffering but also enjoying it and having a good race. So that was actually a really really nice race and a nice way to end the year.
How was it travel-wise in that period? Where do you stay between the races? Where do you train between the races?
So that week, because we had the three Belgian races, I stayed in Belgium in the service course of the team. I did that most of the time before the races. So I went there for the team training on Wednesdays, and then I just stayed until after the race. But yeah, since the beginning of December, it's been really stressful with traveling and everything, because we had the World Cup in Dublin, then we went to Italy, then I went to Spain for a week before Christmas. Then the whole like end of December, I was in Belgium, got back for like a few days, went to Spain, came back for nationals, went to Spain again. So in the last like 6 weeks, I've been home maybe 5 days. So yeah, it was stressful, and I quite enjoy being home now this week, and then afterwards having some time off and just taking it easy.
Is that maybe something that in the future you want to avoid all the travel to Belgium and maybe move to Belgium, or is still home in Luxembourg?
I've been thinking about it. Maybe yeah, next year I'll move to Belgium. But also like for me it was never that far to come back home. It was more the travels going to races that were further away. Because if there was a race in Belgium and I just had a 2 hour drive back home, that was okay for me. But yeah, maybe next year when I do more races there and more training and everything, I can move there. But yeah, I'm not sure about that yet.
You also became national champion this season. How was that? Because that must be special to become champion and get the tricolor of your country.
Yeah, it's always a special feeling. Of course, Luxembourg is a small country, and it's not like I think if you're like Belgian or Dutch champion, it's even more of a bigger thing. But still, being champion of a country is always nice. And for me, this year, first time with the elites, and especially following the footsteps a bit of Christine is a nice feeling for me because she's like the main rider in our country, and she's been national champion so many times, and to just take that over is a nice feeling for me, and being able to show the colors in the international races, which was also a reason why I wanted to compete in the elites, because as under 23 champion you don't really get to show the jersey, and I wanted to race in our colors from the country, and because we are a small country, and if I can be on TV every week, then I also want to show where I'm from. So for me, it was just a logical step to go to the elite and try to win that jersey.
Then from the national champions jersey to the national team jersey, as this weekend the World Championships are taking place in Hogerheide. You'll be racing the women's under 23 race. What's your goal for that race?
Well, I do have some expectations, but I just want to do the perfect race, because I try not to put too much pressure on myself. I know what I'm capable of and I know what I can do, but yeah, I think everything can happen in a cross race of 50 minutes. So I just want to be the best version of myself, push myself to the limit and do a perfect race and then just see where it takes me. And I think, okay, maybe if I don't I want to end up on the podium and that's clear. And if I don't, maybe I'll be a bit disappointed in the beginning. But I think like looking back at the whole season, I can be happy. And I try not to think too much about the world because the season's not defined just by one race. Like I don't do the whole season just to be well at Worlds. Like I want to be there the whole season, and basically the Worlds is just like a bonus. But yeah, I want to do well because again, like 2 years ago we had the Worlds that were cancelled, and then it was like already a big chance for me, and now I think I have it again. And yeah, looking at my latest results, I think I can be there for the podium. Yeah, and it's just a dream for me. Like I don't really care which place I end up. I just want to be on the podium because again, for our country, it's such a big thing, and also for myself because I've never really had that feeling yet. So I'm just hoping for the perfect race, and again, I just want to do my best, and then should be all right.
And what do you think about the course? Do you think it's a good course for you?
Yeah, I think so. It depends a bit on the conditions. I kind of hope that they will be similar to last Sunday, but yeah, like not too muddy, but also not completely dry. And I do like the course. I did it 2 times already. I like the stairs section as well. And I think yeah, it should suit me. And I just try to when I do course practice, try to see where I can do like better or where my weaknesses are on the course, and then just get everything dialed in and ready to go for Sunday, basically.
What does your preparation for that race look like? Is it just like any other race, or is it a bit more rest? And how will you approach it? We know that Sven Nys back in the day always liked one hard training the day before the race because he was always better on the second day of racing. We know that other riders prefer to take it very easy and come at the start as fresh as possible. What's your take on that? What works for you?
Well, this week is all about like active recovery, basically taking it easy, because I think like the main, like all the work's been done in the past 3 weeks. So this week is all about maintaining the shape and trying to save the legs as much as possible. I'll do one harder training session on Wednesday. Yeah, just to freshen up the legs a bit because then they are recovered from last Sunday, and there's also still time for them to recover for next Sunday. And then yeah, the like my normal pre-race before race, which is always has a bit of some short efforts just to get the feeling into the legs. But yeah, like the day before the race, I just take it as any other race. But like the whole week leading into the race now is a lot easier than the other weeks because I know I stop after the Worlds, so I don't need to train for the weeks that come later. So yeah, it's actually a nice week because it's less hours of training, and you can like also a bit free your mind and everything. So I kind of like this week.
Say you end your season after the World, you will be moving to SD Works then as well. Came maybe as a bit of a surprise since, as you said, you haven't raced much on the road. How did that transfer come together?
Well, it basically started after the World Cup in Biksbergen. I was cooling down on my rollers, and then yeah, they contacted me. Like they came up to me and asked, "How's it looking for contracts next year and everything?" And from there on, it went quite quickly. So beginning of December, like middle of December, I knew that I had signed. But yeah, I think for the people on the outside, it came a bit like unexpected because it was announced quite late. But yeah, for me, it was ever since like they contacted me, I've been like even in my mind it was more of a boost again because I knew like what was going on with me for the next years, because before that I was unsure like what am I going to do in the summer now, and then I knew okay, I've got a contract now, so I don't need to worry about anything. I can just do like focus on my racing. And yeah, it was a bit of a surprise because I've not done many road races, but yeah, they also wanted a cross rider, and I think even if now I'm in a world tour road team, I won't be less of a cross rider. So they still let me do everything I want there, and with Blanca next year, I think we are a good team. I get on with her really well. Yeah, and I'm looking really forward to that. But also the road season because I have so many nice teammates and everyone from the team is so nice, and I think I can learn a lot from them and then take everything from the road that I learn and like the shape and everything. I can just take it with me going into the cross season, and then do even better there.
Was it no option, for instance, to stay with your current team?
For me, not really, because I just wanted to have a complete road season where I can do races as well. And with my current team, because it's a cross team, I didn't have the opportunity basically to do what I wanted to do. So for me, it was like, I mean, I could have gone into another road team just for the road and then stayed with my cross team for the cross. But I prefer being in only one team because I think it makes things a lot easier. And when I had the opportunity to join SD Works, where I can do both and where I have like the complete program for the road, everything I need and want, for me it was no, like there was no other option. It was just a yes straight away, basically.
Would it be difficult to leave the Wellens brothers behind after all the tips and tricks they've given you?
Definitely, I'm going to miss them, but I mean, I'll still see them on the races, and yeah, I really enjoyed the time with them, and I'm not going to forget everything they did for me. But yeah, I think also next year with Lars, I'm in good hands there, and like I say, I'm still going to see them at the races, and it won't be any different just because I'm in a different team now. And yeah, I think for them it's also nice to see the riders. They basically they progressed us, and then see them stepping up to the world tour is also nice for them and like rewarding for them as well because they know, okay, the work we do, it actually pays off. So yeah, I'm definitely going to miss them, but I'm really excited and looking forward to the new step. So it should be good.
Yeah, as you say, the road is a bit of a step into the deep end of the pool, but do you think that you have some potential on the road? Because we've seen in cross that you have a very, very good start, the best starter of the pack, always having the head start, even sometimes from the second row. Do you think that that maybe means that you're a good sprinter, or do you think that you're maybe more of a puncher, or is it still unknown for you?
I think it's still a bit unknown for me. I know that I'm not a climber, but I do get up the climbs quite well. I think right now I'm like I don't really know. I think I'm okay at everything, and it's like up to me now to find out where I'm like really good at, where I have potential, and where I can get even better at. But yeah, I don't think I'll be like completely lost when I get into the road season because I did a few races in the past. I finished as a junior top 10 at the European, so I think that doesn't come out of the blue. So, there's a reason why I had the result. And also now in cross, I think that I do have the potential to do well. Of course, I'm not going to win any big races this season. I mean, that's normal, but that's also not the goal. I think for me, it's about progressing and then especially finding out where I can go, how far I can go, and what type of rider I am.
Well, we'll be following your progression on this road season, but also next cross season again very closely. Thank you for your time and best of luck at the World Championships this weekend.
Thank you.
We will now continue with the second part of this podcast. With me here now, another rider from the Tormans cross team. He is also off from a strong weekend in Besançon. With me here now is Kevin Kuhn. Thank you for being here with us today, Kevin, to talk about your season and take a look ahead at the World Championships.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Nice to speak with you guys. I think you're doing a good job in in with the podcast and everything in also in English for the international guys. So I'm looking forward to speak to you.
Thanks a lot. How are you doing after Besançon? Are you still a bit tired or are you already feeling rested again?
I'm feeling quite quite rested. Yeah, last week was also quite a bit of training in Spain. Then we went directly to Besançon, and now I feel. Yesterday I drove to Belgium, so today I had quite an easy day, an easy ride, but I feel rested. Yeah.
We'll start with some snap questions to get to know you a little bit better. First of all, is there any non-cycling hobby that you have?
That's a good question. I don't think so. No, really a hobby? I don't know. No, probably not.
I mean, cycling is at the end of the day the most fun thing there is. I completely agree with you. Is there maybe any other sport that you watch outside of cycling?
Watch, yeah, I watch a lot of skiing. As a Swiss, it's maybe normal. Or cross country skiing, and yeah, that kind of stuff.
So you seem to be a real man of the winter sports. You excel in a winter sport, in cyclocross, also in the snowy course of Val di Sol. We'll talk about that in a bit, but is then the snow course in Val di Sol also your favorite course, or is that another one?
Favorite course, maybe. I think the course in Val di Sol is changing quite a lot depending on the temperature. So it's difficult to say, but probably favorite course probably Solde. I like this one. Or there are a lot of fun courses out there, but I go with Solde.
And what is your favorite country to ride your bike in?
At home, Switzerland. I have some. There's some nice passes, nice also small roads, big roads, everything. I have everything there, so I think Switzerland.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. We'll start and go talking about a bit of your career now. In Zolder at the World Championships in 2016, you ended fourth in the junior race. After that, there were some under 23 years in which you got some decent results, but really, as a final year under 23, you really had a very great season, winning the World Cup and winning silver medal at the World Championships in your home country in Dubendorf. Since then, you've still progressed. So, would you say that every year you're still able to make significant steps in your development?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I hope I can keep this up. But at the moment, yeah, it's really was every year a bit a step forward. And I also try to plan it a bit like that. Like I was also working for some years, and then I was working like I started working half time, and then I stopped working for a part of time. And every year I made a step in performances, but also in like the way I did it. So every year I did a step. So I try to make it as well for next season.
What work were you doing before?
I worked as an electrician for I don't know, 4 or 5 years. I was learning a job, and then I worked for one. I was learning for 4 years, and then did one more year.
So, in somewhat, it's maybe a bit of a similar story to what our listeners now currently are hearing about Gerben Kuipers, who did a different job. He was working in the factory, and then once he stopped, he made a lot of progression this season. That silver medal in Dubendorf, that must still be one of the highlights of your career.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. When I heard it for the first time that the that the World Champs was in Switzerland, then I knew it's my last year in that category. So I was looking forward already for that race for a long time. But in that year, I really had some very good. Yeah, I won the overall World Cup, so there was also quite a bit of pressure on that World Champs race, because Switzerland and the last medal on a World Champs were for a Swiss rider. I don't know, was a long time ago, so there was there was some pressure on that race, but I was really happy to get that silver medal.
Since then, you've been able to make another couple of steps. Last year, you were already able to get yourself into the top 10 of some big televised races a couple of times. Would you consider that to be your breakthrough season, or is that really this season? Or is it still all coming as a bit of a surprise to what you're able to achieve, or was it expected?
Um, I, I don't know. It's difficult to say. I never really thought about that, but I'm just trying to give my best and do my best results, and to expect the results. It's maybe you're wrong or difficult to say, because I didn't really, or did never really believe that I could do, for example, a World Cup podium in the elite. But it happened this year, so I tried, but I try all to get better. But it's I don't know. I didn't really think about that, so maybe I hope I can make a better season next year as well, and maybe that's my breakthrough season, or or I don't know how I see I really see that.
So it's maybe then a bit of a surprise, as you say, that you're keeping developing this way. Was it then also a surprise for you that this year you're able to do super well on all types of courses? You ended fifth on a super tough course in Namur with a lot of climbing. At the complete opposite of the spectrum, you were long in the mix for the podium positions in Benidorm. Another from the heat to the snow, Val di Sol, the podium. You're really turning out to be a very versatile rider. And is that something that you then also not expected, or because at least for us, we were always thinking, well, yeah, Kevin Kuhn, we know he's talented and we know he likes a bit of a muddy course, but to also see you do well on the fast courses was definitely a bit of a surprise this season.
For me also, I don't know. I like quite a lot of courses, and it's fun to race on all different courses, and I don't know. I just enjoy to ride or to race, and then on all courses I like to race, and that's also we can also see in the results. I don't have a favorite course like fast or muddy or something. It was always like that, and it's still working pretty good on all different kind of races.
Let's zoom in on some of the highlights of your season then. Let's start with the European Championships in Namur. Could you talk us through your race there where you ended fifth in the end?
Yeah, that was really unexpected for me, to be honest, because I wasn't feeling very fresh in the morning. I had a bit of bad throat, and so I started in the race without any expectations, but I had a good start, and then I was in the race. The feeling was not very good, but then I saw some guys struggling. Some guys had some technical, I don't know, flat tires or things like that, or crashes. And then I saw that I was riding around the fourth place, so fifth at the end, but the fourth place was just some seconds in front. And it was really unexpected for me, so I was very happy about that. But just I was after that race, I was getting sick a bit. That was not very good, but the race, I was very happy with the race.
Luckily, you recovered from that, and well, we saw it the week after in Beekseberg. It was maybe a bit of a tough race, but a couple of weeks later, we were in Val di Sol, and I myself went with a bold prediction of putting you third in the preview podcast of the podium for Val di Sol, because I was thinking, well, Swiss riders, they will do well on the snow, and when I was there on the ground, I couldn't believe that you were fighting so hard for that podium place. And of course, I was super happy that you got that, not only for my prediction, but also because it was amazing to see you there. Do you think that you benefited from maybe having a bit more experience on a bit of a slippery course? Because in Switzerland, there tends to be a bit more snowcross from time to time, although I'm not entirely sure how much races you've done in the snow.
I think that the race in Val di Sole is something different than just riding on a snowy course. It's really riding on the snow. I never really did it before that kind of race. I think no one, also not in Switzerland. Yeah, of course we had some Swiss champs. Oh, I don't know, 3 years ago. Yeah, was also on the snow, but not really on the snow like a ski slope. It's pretty uncommon. And yeah, I don't know. I just did a very good race there. I planned a bit to that race. I did a good block of training before, like around Dublin or before Dublin, and recovered quite good on to Val di Sole. I knew that I was in pretty good shape, and yeah, everything went just very good. I also had to crash a bit, and in the last lap I even lost my chain, but it wasn't in TV luckily. So yeah, I think at the end everyone had their struggles in the race, but I could handle it pretty good on that day, and that was the thing to get on the podium at the end.
The big goal of Val di Sole is to promote the sport as a potential Olympic event or test event for the upcoming Winter Olympics, which will take place in that region. What would you think? Would you like to see it as a test event at the Olympics?
I think a lot of things would change, and this is gonna happen, especially in Switzerland, because the cyclocross is not very big there, so a lot of things would change. Yeah, why not? Yeah, I think it would be good for us.
Yeah, you already mentioned that in Switzerland it's tough to do cross. I mean, obviously mountain biking is also very big in Switzerland. A lot of the youth riders eventually end up on the mountain bike. We see it, for instance, this year at the Swiss Championships. The champion in the junior women's category is already focusing on the mountain bike season, whilst she could maybe get a good result at the Worlds. Same went for Monique Halter last year. Actually, outsider for a medal she would have been, but also prioritized mountain bike. What would you say that the state of Swiss cross is at the moment? Because especially in Belgium, there's a big nostalgic feeling about cross in Switzerland that comes from the 90s and early 2000s with the World Cup in Weizsäcker, World Championships in Eschbach. And last year there was not even a national series anymore. This year it came back. You've raced a couple of races in Switzerland this year, I think 3 or 4 from the top of my head. What would you summarize the state of Swiss cross as at the moment?
Not very good, to be honest. there was a very good series with the EKC Cross Tour. That was very nice races, and it was exactly in the time I was in I was riding as a junior U23, and then stepping over to the elite, and that was perfect for my progression as a rider. I had good races there, close to my home, and quite a lot of riders also, and good riders at the races. But after that stopped, there was not a lot of races left, and not a lot of riders at the races. Yeah, like as I said, in Switzerland, everyone is focused on the mountain bike, especially, and the riders, the youth riders, they get a lot of support from the federation for the mountain bike, but not for cyclocross. So it's very difficult to do it, to get the material you need, to get go to the races to Belgium if you want to do a big race. It's having the people together, the mechanics or whatever. It's very difficult to do it. So I don't know the solution, but what's the real solution? But at the moment, I don't really see a good progression in that part.
Part of it has to do, of course, with the funding, and this is an issue in a lot of countries because the Olympic cycling disciplines, track, road, mountain bike, and BMX, they get the funding, and cross is relying on the leftovers or a sponsor. Even in such a big country as the Netherlands, the cyclocross department is fully dependent upon sponsorship, and that in the Netherlands comes from the National Lottery. But if they would decide tomorrow to pull the plug, in the Netherlands, the national team for cyclocross would also have serious issues. So it's not a super stable financial model, and you could see that when AKZ pulled the plug on their cross series. Last year there was no series. I think it's a good step that they managed to get some series up and running again this year, but as you say, somehow there need to be more races, and I mean, it would be ideal if it's able to get a World Cup back, but then again, where does the funding come from? Because Bern, it was there for a couple of years, but it ultimately could not adhere to the standard of the new World Cup set up by Flanders Classic. So I don't know, what's your thought on the new World Cup of Flanders Classics? I mean, on one side we do get new events like Benidorm and Val di Sol, but on the other hand, a country like Switzerland is now left without a World Cup.
Yeah, true. I think for us it would have been very nice to really have a World Cup back. I don't know. There's also a lot of races like I said, Benidorm. It was really nice to race there. It was really working good. A lot of spectators have been there, and good that we have the Swiss Cyclocross series back, or back like a new series. And just a bit the problem is that not a lot of riders are racing there at the moment. So I try to go there if possible, but it's also not always possible. Like, yeah, because of the World Cup. That's actually every weekend. So yeah, maybe it's a bit too many races the World Cup, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. It's a difficult question.
Yeah, I think the knife cuts on both sides. Like, it gives some, but it also still has a lot of room for improvement. And I hope that from an event like Benidorm, they helped set that up. That then, I mean, we know that they are working on London next year, and then I hope that if they help set that up, that then after that they can say, okay, well, we have some new successful events. They are almost fully self-operating. We can focus on adding another new country. And if they are able to add one or two new events every year, like Dublin this year also had 8,000-9,000 spectators. Benidorm, of course, with 17,000 was absolutely crazy. So if they can work like that, maybe it will take some years, but then in the long term, we might see a proper World Cup that moves through Europe instead of being for 50% in the Netherlands and Belgium. But back to the racing in Switzerland, you raced a couple of races there. As you said, I think you won most of them. Was there like any race that stood out to you that had like a fun course? Because these races are not televised, so they go very under the radar for us.
All races are have been quite fun to race. That was quite a time, a long time ago. did a lot of races in between, but it was a nice race, like a typical Swiss race with some climbing in, a lot of grass sections, and yeah, for example, my island has also quite a big climb in, like a grass part first, and then big climb on the tarmac, and then a famous Swiss style downhill. so yeah, they are nice to race, and for me, it's always nice to race home in front of Swiss spectators and in front of a lot of people I know. Always nice to go back.
You also raced the national championships. We knew that you were leading the race until halfway through the race. Could you tell us a bit what happened there? Because for many riders it was a surprise, or not necessarily only riders, but for many people it was a surprise that you didn't win there. Although, of course, Timon Ruek is not a nobody. He's been having a good season as well, but still people were surprised because you were a bit better throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think I was never getting beaten by a Swiss rider the whole season. Yeah, for me it was really a strange race. I had a strange feeling during the race. I was really not concentrated. I was really not, just not having a good feeling. It was just a very bad day. Yeah, it was a bit sad that it happened on that day. Yeah, I was also very disappointed after the race. Maybe not because I didn't win, but especially for my bad performance I showed there. But it was strange. I couldn't I couldn't really ride my bike like normal. Yeah, I don't know really why. Yeah, like I said, it was quite difficult after the race to accept that. But now it's past, and I'm looking forward to the future, not the past. But yeah, also like I said, Timon is also a good rider, and he earned that Swiss champion title. He was also preparing very good for that one race, and I think yeah, we I didn't prepare very well, especially for that race because my goals are on other races. But of course, it's one race, and he was better on that day, so he earned that Swiss champion title, and I'm not sad anymore about that race.
Did it fuel you with extra motivation for Benidorm and Besançon and of course the World Championships this weekend?
Extra motivation, maybe not motivation, but it was. I think I enjoyed the races more after that disaster at the Swiss champs. I just could enjoy than the races, and I could start with just fun, like just looking forward to the races, and that really worked out to be just easy before the race without any the expectations is maybe wrong, but I just tried to have a good feeling back and have fun in the race, and that really worked out.
Then the World Championships in Hogerheide this weekend. What are your goals for that race?
Yeah, I think it's very difficult at the moment to set a rank goal because there is a lot of riders very close to each other. Also want to start the race with just an easy feeling, not getting any pressure for that race because my season was really, yeah, I'm really happy with my whole season, and I'm just looking forward to race at the World Champs and don't want to have any really big goals. But I know that when everything can be good, I can do a very good race because I know my shape is good and a lot of things can happen there. But I think I'm a bit a dark horse for a good for a good place, and I also start with a feeling like that.
How do you feel about the course? Is it something you like in Hogerheide?
Yes, I think it's depending on the weather how the course is can be can be very muddy or very fast. But for me, doesn't matter. I like I like the course, and I think with the bridges I saw on the photos, it's going to be a bit heavier than the last years. But I'm looking forward to the race. I like the course.
After the World Championships, what does your future look like? What are you going to be doing in terms of cyclocross, but also over the summer?
Yeah, I finished the season with the leftover races. I think I will do it. I will do them all, and then yeah, I will see. I think in the next week we will hear more about that. It's not 100% clear at the moment, but yeah, it's looking good that I do a bit on the road and yeah, like I did now on the road, and also yeah on the road a bit, not too much, not not as I do in the winter, and then focusing on the winter season.
Are you planning to stay with the Tormans Cross project, which is transforming to the Intermarché Cross project?
Yeah, that we will see. I think we will hear news soon about that.
So we'll wait for that. A question then still on that. How do you feel in that team and working together with the Wellens brothers who do the coaching?
I feel very good. I think that's also a big reason why I can do the races every week. I can do very good races. Yeah, especially with the guys around me, with Bart and yeah, Geert also, and my mechanic, and yeah, all people around. It's very nice to work together with them. They're very good people, and especially as for me, when I'm staying in Belgium for some time, then it's important to have some good people around. And with these people, I definitely have them. And yeah, I enjoy to race or do the races with them.
Seems like you are happy where you are, and of course, without a rested mental state, you can't go for a complete good physical state either. Thank you for being with us today, and good luck at the World Championships.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks again for your time, Kevin. We will be back tomorrow with another podcast. Then we will be taking a look ahead at all races of the World Championships taking place in Hogerheide. Thanks everyone for listening, and see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.